Hi, guys. Oh, I'm going to cry. It's so good to see y'all. Yeah, this is AJ. This is it. This is what it is. I know face reveal. I actually wanted to talk to you guys about that. That this is the first time a lot of you are probably seeing my face. And I should look in the camera. I should not look at me. Why would I do that? This is probably the first time a lot of y'all are seeing my face, and I wanted to thank you for coming over to TalkShopLive to chat with me, and of course for following DFB and being such an incredible support to me for so many years. But the reason why I'm showing my face for the first time is because this book is, again, super personal to me. There's a lot of me in it, and so while for 15 years I've kind of hidden behind that whole secret of Disney food blog, and we are reviewing restaurants. We're doing unbiased reviews, and we're making sure that people don't kind of know who we are when we're in the restaurants, so that we can get real food and real service. This time it's my book, and it's something that I am just really, really personally proud of, and very excited to connect with you personally on this. So while it's scary for me because I'm an introvert, I'm very happy to see you. Okay, quick note on TalkShopLive. If you want to buy this book, which this isn't the real book, this is just a mock-up. I don't have the real book yet. This is a mock-up. But if you want to buy your own real book with my signature on the book plate, with my autograph, you can click the shop button on TalkShopLive, or if you're watching from Facebook or Instagram, you can comment shop, and it will automatically DM you a link to get the book. See, I just can't figure out how to look in the camera. Come on, AJ, get it together. Okay. How many pages in the book? Right now, there are 272 pages in the book. So it's a good, and I wanted it to be a lot more than that. My editor was like, you got to cut this down. If any of you ever got our DFB guide from 100 years ago, like back in 2011, when we first wrote that and it was 900 pages, that's my problem. I can't stop putting more in because I have so much I want to tell you. So there was a lot more in this book that I had to cut out. So maybe we'll have to do like a secret second edition or something like that. Ooh, Fry Bucket's here. Hi, Fry Bucket. Yay. Oh, it's good to see you, girl. Okay. We're here to answer questions. We're here to talk about the book. We're here to talk about DFB. So happy to just jump into answering questions. And then I want to show you guys, I want to talk a little bit about the book, and I've got my little table of contents here. So I want to share with you kind of what chapters we've got in the book. And then I have a little section I want to read for you too. Okay, I'm going to filter down to questions. I'm going to look at questions here. All right, let's see. Oh, Forbidden Corey, it's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, so many names of people that I only know online in here. And it's so good to see you all. Thank you so much for coming and supporting. Okay, so what is this book about? Gina Lee is asking, what is this book about? This book is about Disney adults. Here's how it came about. Simon & Schuster, which was an incredible publishing company, contacted me and said, hey, we'd love you to do a book, and we'd love a book about Disney adults. And I thought, well, that sounds scary because everybody's got their idea of what a Disney adult is. But sure, let's dive into this. And so that's kind of how it started. So it is about Disney adults. It's about those of us who love Disney, whether we have kids or not. It's about those of us who actively choose to have Disney as a part of our lives. But there's so much more in here. It's not just, there's a lot about Disney adults, and there's a lot of interviews of Disney adults, but it's also about Disney. It's about social media and online communities. It's about how Disney gets that hold over us. How you just can't sort of break away. It's my personal story about how I went into debt going to Disney World when I was younger, and how I had to sort of figure out that was a problem, and I had to fix that and figure that out. So that's kind of what's in this book. It's a lot of journalism, but it's also a lot of my personal story too. Let's see. Why do you think Disney, Lamella says, why do you think Disney inspires such deep emotional connections? This is my entire chapter 2, Lamella. It is something that I think is incredibly important for Disney. I'm not going to say the word manipulation, but I am going to say the word psychological and emotional, I guess. I don't know. What word are we going to use there that's not manipulation? Somebody give me a good word. But basically, Disney understands how psychology works. They know how to make sure that you are joyful, happy, feeling safe, feeling like you're in a fantastic situation. And they do that in their parks all the time. And there's a lot of psychology and science behind it. So that's my chapter 2, is how do they get this hold over us? How do they grab onto us like this? That's what chapter 2 is all about. So get ready for some, quoting the NIH stuff. Does Disney ever ask you for feedback on future offerings? That's a great question. No, they really don't. They usually, Disney and I have a really, really good relationship, and we have for a long time. But they don't ask me about future offerings. They don't ask me about what I think would do well in the parks or anything like that. They are very much focused on their own R&D. And so they don't use me. I don't know if they use other influencers as a sort of kind of sounding board for that. But no, I've never been asked by Disney, should we do something like this or not? The main takeaway, Mindy T is asking, what's the main takeaway? Main takeaway for the book, I think it's twofold. First of all, it is interviewing a lot of Disney adults. It's talking to a lot of people who maybe aren't your stereotypical Disney adult. Stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. The Disney adult community has gotten its, I guess it's its stigma for a reason, but it is a huge community, and there are so many different types of people in this community. And so my goal was to really interview and showcase a bunch of different types of people who are all a part of this community, but also to show kind of what this community does for itself and for other people, and how important it is to find your tribe. So that kind of branches off a little bit also into just human nature, right? Why do people hate people they don't understand? Why do people hate communities that are different from them? But also, why do we seek this tribal community so much? And why do we constantly try to get closer to that safety and that thing that makes us comfortable? And why do we sometimes, I guess, put stress on ourselves to a negative point in order to achieve that? So there's a lot in this book. There's a lot more than I thought there was going to be in this book at the beginning. So it's not what you would expect, for sure. Okay, let's see. Looking at the questions here. Kathleen says, when you think Disney adult, where does your mind go first? Well, that's a really good question. I feel like there's different, Disney adults as a community are sort of, there's a whole lot of different niches within that community. For me, I'm a theme parks girl. I've always been a theme parks girl to my core. And that starts with when I would go to theme parks with my dad when I was younger. There's a lot about my dad in this book too. By the way, if you're new, if you haven't been here, if you're just chiming in, hi, I'm AJ Wolfe. And I wrote this book, Disney Adults. And if you are interested in buying it with my autograph, then you go ahead and click shop on, no, you go ahead and click, shop, is it shop? Click the shop button on TalkShopLive, or you can comment shop on Instagram or Facebook, and you'll get a link to go ahead and buy the book with my autograph, which is super fun and cool. And I can't wait to sign those for you. That's just my dream come true. Anyway, I forgot what question I was answering from from Kathleen. When you think Disney adult, where does your mind go first? Mine goes to theme parks, but I was just on a podcast earlier today that with a couple of folks who interview or who review movies, and they automatically go to movies first. That is their kind of core Disney adulthood. So it really just depends on where, I guess, you were first exposed to it and where you first fell in love with it, I guess. Let's see, any other questions? How do you define a Disney adult? This is something I had to do for the book because Disney adult really wasn't even a thing. It wasn't a coined term until like 2010. And even then it didn't really start getting used until 2020, until the COVID, the closures of the park and the pandemic. And all of a sudden we were all pushed online. We were all, I guess, alone and trying to figure out, what do we do now? We can't go to the parks. We can't go to work. We can't do anything. What are we going to do? Everybody got online and everybody was angry. And so Disney adults sort of became this negative stigma thing that everybody was sort of making fun of. But it's never really been defined. And so I started talking to a bunch of psychologists and psychiatrists to figure out what is a Disney adult? How can we define a Disney adult? And what we landed on for the book, and this was, again, the first thing I had to figure out before I even started writing, was someone who willingly brings Disney into their life, right? Who makes the choice to have Disney be a part of their life. So if they're going to go on vacation, they might go to Disney more than once, right? They might not just go for the requisite one time that you have to by law, but you go multiple times. Or if you're going to go see a movie, you will happily go see a Disney movie. You might buy Disney merchandise. You might, interact with that hobby in a different way, but you're choosing Disney over not Disney. So that's kind of what a Disney adult is. And again, it doesn't matter if you have kids. It doesn't matter if if you have a bunch of other hobbies, that Disney adulthood isn't like your only, definition. There's a whole bunch of us. We're all very different. But if you are choosing Disney to be a part of your life, then we consider that to be a Disney adult. Oh, Jim Beard says, I know books can kind of take you over during the writing and go places you don't expect. Did that happen in that? Oh, all the time, Jim. Even when I'm writing the DFB guides, which are our guidebooks over at Disney Food Blog, they go places I didn't expect them to go, just because there's so much I want to say and so much I want to talk about. This book, like I said at the beginning of the Talk Shop Live, I had to cut probably a quarter of it at the end, because my editor was like, okay, AJ, nobody wants to read this much about Disney adults. You need to cut some of this. So I had to cut a ton of it out, but there's so much I wanted to talk about. I mean, I talk about Neuschwanstein Castle in here. I talk about Mickey Mouse watches. I talk about, like I said, I talk about the science and psychology of the theme parks. It's all in here because I think it all pertains to Disney adults and why we are the way we are. But it also talks a lot about Disney. I wanted to talk about Disney specifically, and Disney's experience with primarily how they interact with their fans, right? Because when I first started doing Disney Food Blog, Disney really didn't interact with their fans. There wasn't any social media. There wasn't any Disney Parks blog. So the only way Disney really interacted with their fans was through guest surveys and things like that. And so all of a sudden, in 2009, 2010, there was this explosion of social media, and suddenly Disney had to figure out how they were going to manage this fandom and interact with them. And so there's a big chunk of the book, chapter 7, talks about kind of Disney's progress through interacting with their fans and what that means for the fans. Like, do we actually have a say with what Disney does? Do they actually listen to the fans? Do they listen to what we want or need? And so that's all addressed in the book is how much power do we actually have, right? So that's all in there as well. But to answer your question, Jim, yes, I had so many things I wanted to say in this book and had to really pare it down. I'm really proud of it. I think it's awesome, which is saying a lot because I don't often think that my writing is awesome, but I am really, really proud of this. I think this is a good representation of our community. Let's see. Ashley W says, how many times do you go to Disney in a year? I used to go to Disney a lot more than I do now. I used to go probably twice a month. That was back when we first started DFB, because I do live in Dallas, Texas. I don't live in Orlando or Anaheim. And then when we started to hire a team of reporters and photographers in the parks, and when I had my son, right, which was in 2013, I had to sort of curtail the amount that I went. I had to be home and taking care of him a little bit more than I could be in the parks. So now that he's a little bit older, he's 11 now, I'm able to be back in the parks a little bit more than I was before. Unfortunately, now I guess I should say fortunately, I'm there mostly for meetings and things like that. And so it's rare that I get to kind of just go and have fun in the parks. But I guess I'm sort of I'm a workhorse anyway. So when I'm in the parks, I'm going to be working anyhow. I'm going to be reviewing stuff. I'm going to be looking for stuff, figuring out what I need to tell you guys. So I'm always sort of working when I'm at the parks anyway. But I'm probably there every couple of months at this point. And I'll be there a little bit more coming up here in August because the book launches on August 5th, as you guys know. And we're going to have a big book launch in Orlando. And I'm hoping to have a couple of other little events. Also hoping to have some events during D23 at the end of August over there in Orlando. So stay tuned to the FB, to our newsletter, to Instagram, to see kind of what's coming up there, because there will be some events, some book signings and things like that. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we can do some of that in August. Oh, I see Go Bills in here, so I am going to look at this one. Frank J. Were you influenced by Disney while growing up in Western New York, or did this happen when you moved to Texas? Absolutely. When I was growing up, I was influenced by Disney. My parents, we'd go for a spring break trip every year, and they would usually take us down to like Myrtle Beach or Clearwater, Florida, somewhere with a beach. And when we were in Florida, we'd always do 1 or 2 days at Disney. This was back in the 80s when, there was just Epcot and Magic Kingdom. And so we'd go down to the parks for 1 day. So we would do rope drop to fireworks, and then bundle the sleeping kids into the car and drive back to the condo on the beach or whatever. And so that's when I really fell in love with Disney, was 1985 Epcot, I should say. I was 7. And so that is my personal Epcot: Kitchen Cabaret, Horizons, World of Motion. That's my core Epcot. So that's when I fell in love with it. And after that, my dad and I kind of really shared a love of Disney, especially Disney music. And so you'll see a lot of my dad in here. He passed away in 2021. But you will see a lot of my dad in this book, and I'm going to cry now, but he is probably what I would consider to be my kind of Disney adult cohort. Let's see. Seth K, do you have an absolute favorite Disney snack? My favorite Disney snacks change all the time, Seth. And it's so hard to get the question of what's your favorite restaurant, what's your favorite snack, etc. Right now, I will say that if I'm in Disney, I still love the pineapple upside down cake with Dole Whip on it. I absolutely adore that over from Aloha Isle, one of my favorites. And I'll go get that. I was in Magic Kingdom for extended evening hours about a month ago, and maybe 2 months ago. And Aloha Isle's actually open during extended evening hours, which I didn't know. And you can go get a Dole Whip. And it was just like the best, just walking through the park at night and having a Dole Whip. It was great. Okay, getting some questions here. The book right now, Andrew, is a hardcover. And I'm hoping that we sell enough that we can do soft covers too. Fingers crossed. Favorite 3 Disney rides? People Mover? Absolutely. I am the president of the unofficial People Mover fan club, as you know. Spaceship Earth and Living with the Land. Those are my 3 favorites. I know that some may think boring, but I think they're phenomenal and I love them. And again, like I said, that era of 1980s Disney World is my era. So that I love those. Kayla is asking, she says, I hate hearing my own voice on videos. Did you have any voice training before this? No, I didn't have any voice training. I just started doing the videos when we wanted to start a YouTube channel. I do get that question a lot. So I guess I'm doing a pretty good job with the voiceovers, which is great. But no voice training. Although I did get to do the audiobook for Disney adults, which was awesome. So super jazzed that that's going to be me reading the book to you. And I got to, go into a studio and record that and feel super important. So that was great. If you are just joining us, hi, I'm AJ Wolfe, and we are talking about Disney Adults. This is my new book coming out on August 5th. And if you are interested in purchasing it with an autograph, go ahead and click the shop button on TalkShopLive. You can purchase the book, or you can head over, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, you can comment shop, and then we will send you a DM to purchase the book with an autograph. Cool. All right. I am still narrowed down to just questions. Let's see. Sorry, looking at more questions here. Sherry G says, do you mentor or offer guidance to others interested in writing, content creation, planning for Disney, and growing in this space? Right now, no, I don't offer mentorships or any sort of courses or anything like that. That may be coming in the future. We may do something with that in the future. So stay tuned. I think that this particular space, the media, the online media space is changing drastically right now with things like AI, with us all sort of being controlled by, 5 major apps in our lives. I think the media space is going to there's going to be a lot of upheaval and a lot of change over the next 5 to 10 years. So one of the most important things to note if you're going into this space is that you will always be a startup, because things are going to change drastically, sometimes even overnight. So think of yourself as a startup, and you have to be agile to kind of keep moving through this. Another piece of advice: don't copy other people. Come up with your own ideas. Come up with your own, unique selling point. And also, I would say, this is my piece of advice that's kind of that sounds kind of harsh that I always give, but it's that nobody cares about you. Nobody cares what you think until you prove to them that you can make their life better if they listen to you. So that's always been my guiding light is, don't try to promote myself or what I'm doing. Like, try to make other people's lives better. End of story. And if you can do that, they will then want to keep hearing what you have to say. So think about how you can add value to people. If you want to kind of get into honestly, any sort of business, how can you add value to people? But also if you're going to be in media, something like this, because I think as kind of AI comes in, authenticity and brand are going to be more important than ever before. Okay, let's see what else we got. Questions here. By the way, if you are interested in getting the book right here with my autograph, go ahead and click shop button on TalkShopLive, or if you are on Instagram or Facebook, you can go ahead and comment shop, and we will send you a DM to get the book. Let's see. When did you visit Disney World for the first time? This is from Bill. Again, I think it was back then, 1985, when I went with my family for the first time. So 1985, I was 7, going to Magic Kingdom and Epcot. But honestly, I don't even remember Magic Kingdom. All I remember is Epcot. That's all I remember, is standing in a line for 3 hours outside in the spring break heat to ride Journey into Your Imagination. That is what I remember from that trip. And for some reason, that was everything I wanted. And I was like, sign me up for more of this. So that's kind of, that was my first trip to Disney World. Seth K, yes, if you bought the book through TalkShopLive, he's asking if it's going to be personalized. If you bought the book through TalkShopLive, there will be an autograph plate in it. I will sign the autograph plate. If you have pre-ordered the book elsewhere, if you're ordering the book, we're going to see if we can figure out how to make sure that people can get a signed copy or get an auto, or hopefully have a couple of book signings around where people can get that signed. I definitely, if you want a signed book, I want to make sure you can get a signed book. So we're going to see if we can figure that out. Let's see. What else we got on here, guys? Is there Jim, is there something else in Disney World besides Epcot? I'm not sure. Probably not. Kim asks, did making Disney your job ruin any of the magic for you? No, it didn't. And I think that's because I don't work at Disney. And I've talked to a lot of cast members who it did, working at Disney didn't ruin the magic for them. They still love it just as much. But some of them, they say, yeah, it is a different perspective. And I think I've gotten a different perspective on Disney as well. But I think that I feel just as enchanted with Disney. And there's a section in my book where I talk about how I will often make bad choices when I'm at Disney. Like if I have an early meeting the next morning, I will still go in the park at night just to ride Haunted Mansion. Like I'll still do that, even though I know it's probably not the best choice for me in terms of, being logical. But I will still kind of sneak away into the parks and ride my favorite rides and eat my favorite foods and experience those things because I can't not do it. Like I have to, it's a compulsion. So I still love going to the parks. I still love riding my favorite rides and going to new restaurants. And also I love interacting with the cast members. Some of them were still in elementary school when I started doing this at this point, but it's so much fun to talk to them and hear their stories. And that's another reason why I thought that putting a bunch of Disney adult stories would also be really interesting to folks reading this book. So wanted to go over really quickly, and we've got a bunch of other questions here. But I wanted to go over, I've got my little table of contents here. Like I said, this book that I have is actually just a mock-up, which means they give you a book with your book cover on it. But it's actually a different book on the inside. And this is actually really funny. It's probably inappropriate, but I'm going to go ahead and show you anyway, that the mock-up that they gave me is on a book called Raised by a Serial Killer. So I have this book if anybody's interested in finding out what happens in that book. But that's what my Disney Adults like happy, shiny cover is on. I thought that was funny. But I do have my table of contents here. For people who are asking kind of what's in the book, I do think that it's different than what you would kind of expect. And it's hard to kind of tell what it's going to be. So chapter, just going to go through quickly. It's 8 chapters. It's not long, but I'm just going to tell you so you know what's in the book. Chapter 1 is called The Most Hated Group on the Internet, right? So this is an introduction to kind of Disney adults. What is a Disney adult? How did we become Disney adults and how long have they been around kind of thing. Chapter 2 is how we got this way. That has a lot of psychology in it. Why do we love Disney so much? Why is it such a compulsion for us? Chapter 3 is how can you spot a Disney adult? And that is the chapter that I love the most, probably. And it has, it's probably the longest chapter too. It's got a bunch of stories of Disney adults that I interviewed. And they are just a completely ragtag bunch of incredible humans that I can't wait for you to read about. Chapter 4 is do we deserve the hate? So this is also kind of talking about where did that negative stigma come from? And is it something that Disney adults sort of brought on themselves? Is it real? Does it make sense? Do we deserve it? Chapter 5 is we are nothing without each other. That's all about the ways that the Disney adult community has actually really supported one another and done a lot of really excellent things for one another and for others. So it's a fun little deep dive into also all of the little niche communities that have grown out of the Disney adult community. Things like Dapper Days and Gay Days and stuff like that. Chapter 6 is when you love something too much. This chapter is kind of, I think, what people expect to see in a Disney adults book about people who have taken their addiction, for lack of a better word, a little bit too far. So, my personal stories in this book, in this chapter as well. Chapter 7 is how Disney adults have changed Disney forever. Talked about it a little bit earlier. And the question is, do Disney adults actually have any control over what Disney decides to do? How powerful is this group and this community? And then finally, chapter 8 is the Disney adult difference. That's all about actually what Disney's doing right now and Disney's future, and how you might see our community that's growing significantly sort of affect what Disney decides to do in the future. So those are the chapters that are in the book. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more of an understanding of what to expect. Speaking of the book, hi, I'm AJ Wolfe, This is Disney Adults. This is the book that we are talking about right now. If you want to purchase a copy of it with my autograph, you can comment shop on TalkShopLive and you can get the book. And if you're on Instagram or Facebook, hello. And you guys can get the book by commenting shop, and we will send you a DM to get the book there. Tracy D is asking me, oh, Kitty MD is saying, how long is the audiobook? I don't know. It took me about 3 days to record it. So I'm guessing maybe, I don't know, 6 hours. I don't know, maybe 7 hours. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out for you. Tracy D is asking if I've been to the parks in other countries. I have been to Tokyo and to those parks. My team has been to all of the other parks, and I still need to get to all of those. But I have been to Tokyo several times because I have a good friend who keeps making me go, and we love it. And she's always like, let's just go. And so I can't turn her down. Let's see. Who else has some questions here? Robin D says, you're a Disney fan, just the parks. How about DVC? Have you been to most of the DVC resorts? Yes, I've been to most of the DVC resorts. I've been to all the resorts in Disney World and Disneyland. Have not been to Aulani yet, although my team has been, and so we have coverage of it on the site. And Vero Beach, same thing. But I've been to all the DVC resorts on domestic Disney property. John R says, Disney parks are always changing. A lot of strong opinions on closing the Muppets Land, Rivers of America, Rock and Roller Coaster. How do you separate your personal nostalgia and thoughts from your content? This is such a good question. I do find that, and I do talk about this in the book, how it's got to be hard for Disney to make us happy, right? As Disney fans, because we want our Disney, the Disney that we fell in love with, to stay the same. But we're also constantly asking them about what's coming next. What are you building next? And so it's kind of like we are contradictions in and of ourselves. So me personally, my Disney is gone. My Disney was 1985 Epcot, right? It's completely different now. And so I don't find myself getting too attached to the things that are there now, just because I've been through so much upheaval with Disney. It's like I've been through that, and I know what to expect now. And in terms of separating my personal nostalgia and feelings from the content that we produce, I think, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, which is that this, that this isn't about me at all. It's actually about me trying to make life better for you. And for anybody who's following us or watching our videos or following us on Instagram or reading our blog posts or whatever, our goal is never to tell you how we feel about things. It's to give you enough information so that you can figure out how you feel about things. So that's why we'll never say that a restaurant is good or bad, except for Planet Hollywood. Planet Hollywood's not good. But most restaurants, we will not say that they are good or bad. We will say that they are, we'll give you all the information that you need. This was my experience. This is what the food looked like. This is what's on the menu. And this was how the service was. We'll give you enough, and we'll give you all the information we can so that you can make a judgment call on your own. And so I think because I've had, on a podcast earlier, I was asked, what's your hot take for Disney? And I'm like, I'm so conditioned to give a balanced and unbiased review so that you have all the information you need. It's hard for me to even dig in there and find hot takes, because I'm just so used to presenting things in a way that is broad enough that you can benefit from it. So it's rare that I'd be like, yeah, this ride sucks, because it's probably going to change. It's probably going to be different in, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. So that is something that we often do on DFB, is just make sure that you have the information you need. We're not going to tell you if it's good or bad. It might be great for you. And it might definitely, absolutely not be the place you want to go. So we're going to arm you with the info you need to do that. Let's see. Oh, Emily's asking about Disneyland content. Absolutely. We create a ton of Disneyland content. We often get asked why we don't do more Disneyland content. The difference is we're doing all the Disneyland content. The difference is that it's just such a smaller location. There's so many fewer restaurants, so many fewer hotels, so many fewer rides to cover that the Disney World content just tends to overshadow it. So all of that Disneyland content is there. All of the food reviews, we're in those parks every day, covering that stuff. So it's all there for you. It's just a matter of kind of getting through all the Disney World content because there's so much of it. Linda asks, have you been on DCL? And yes, I have. I've been on Disney Cruise Line many, many times. I've been on all the ships at this point and headed back on Disney Cruise Line on the Wish for my son's birthday in a couple of weeks here. And then we've got 2 new ships coming down the pike this year. So very excited to continue expanding our cruise line content. And then Tracy says, do you actually like plastic cheese? I love plastic cheese. If you haven't heard me talk about plastic cheese before, that is that kind of nacho cheese that you get at the ballpark that I'm sure there's no real food in there anywhere, but I love it. I used to have Buffalo Bills season tickets, and that was like my favorite part of the whole game was getting my nachos with my cheese, even though by the time you got it out to your seat, it was probably literally frozen, because the Bills stadium is outside and it's the middle of winter. But I love plastic cheese, and I've always called it plastic cheese ever since I was, much, much younger than I am now, 20 years, 30 years. And so that's kind of a DFB staple for us is plastic cheese, and I do love it. Okay. Let's see. It's 7:37. They told me to kind of keep this to 35, 40 minutes so people don't get bored. So I'll do a couple more questions and then we will head on out. Again, quick note, if you're just popping in or if you don't have your book yet, this is the place to get your autographed copy of Disney Adults. That's the book that's coming out on August 5th. If you want an autographed copy of it, you can go ahead and click the shop button on TalkShopLive, or you can, if you are on Instagram or Facebook right now, you can comment shop and we will send you a DM so that you can grab your copy autographed by me, AJ Wolfe, Disney Food Blog. Let's see. Carol N says, how do you get the latest information so quickly? I appreciate your newsletters. Thank you, Carol. It is a group effort. We have about 50 people on our team at Disney Food Blog and allears.net. And we have it down to a fine-tuned machine, fine-oiled machine of finding news. So we have people who are on what we call news watches every single day who are finding the news that's coming down the pike. We have people in the parks every single day who are finding the news that's happening right in the parks. We also are, we've got so many calendars and spreadsheets of what's coming up, what's coming down the pike, what we know is coming up next. Right now we're on high alert for those Food and Wine Festival menus, those booth menus that we hope are coming out soon. We know Disney's about 2 weeks late on the holiday information. So we're waiting for those Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party dates, and we're, champing at the bit to get that information for you. And my editor team meets every Friday to kind of go through the next week and be like, what are we expecting? What do we know is going to be announced next week? What do we think is going to be announced next week? So that we're always keeping an eye on that for you, so we can get it out to you ASAP in the newsletter and of course on the blog and on social media and everywhere else. Oh, goodness. Okay. That was so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us here on TalkShopLive. Thank you for joining us on Instagram, Facebook. Again, if you want to grab the book, go ahead and click shop on TalkShopLive and buy the book. My autograph will be in it for you. And if you are on Instagram or Facebook, go ahead and comment shop and you'll get a DM to buy that book. So thank you for doing this with me. I have been so nervous all day. And so you guys have just made it a joy. I appreciate you coming, making me feel supported and loved. It means the world to me. And I just can't thank you enough. So hope you get the book. Hope you love it. I love it. And I can't wait to see what you guys think. So have a great day. And I don't know how else to say goodbye, but hopefully we will do this again sometime, and I'll see you live at some other time.